Hello, this is Malorian, this is the Orc Tactical Team, and what we're going to talk about today is loss aversion, and just the way it affects your mind and your risk-taking. So what this really comes back to is the way that you think. There's a more rational part of your brain, and there's a more emotional part of your brain, and you use it at different times. Something to quickly try and show an example is, let's say you had two choices you could make. There is one where the majority of the time it would be giving you an increase. Let's say 60% of the time it would give you $10, but then the other 40% of the time you would lose $10. And the other option is one where you would be gaining more money, but there's a less chance of you getting that. Okay? So let's say that there's two options like that. The rational part of your brain will go with the sure thing, knowing that in the long run, if I always take this one, I might lose and gain, but if I keep on taking that same option, because the majority of the time I'm going up, I'm going to end up with more money. However, as the way that the brain works is that as soon as you go and have that first loss, you have that loss aversion. And what it really is that's your own brain saying, oh my God, I lost something, this is horrible, because of the way that your mind doesn't like loss. And what the person will actually do is, instead of staying with that rational brain and staying the course and just knowing that, okay, well, this is the downtrend and things are going to be coming right back again, what they'll actually do is switch over to the more risky option. And of course, just like the math shows, the majority of the time just means they're going to be losing more money. So it doesn't really make sense from that rational part of your brain, but what's actually happening is you're using your emotional side of your brain saying, I got to come back, I got to get this money back. I used to have this money and I didn't get it. It's now that's trying to take that big risk to get it all back. And this really does go and link in with the way that you play Warhammer. Something that you can see from one of my past games as an experience is I was playing up against this one Lizardman player. And what happened was that I was dominating the game. It was looking pretty bad for him. He had some pretty big losses. And what he decided to do was just to charge with everything. You know, we're talking skinks going into my Savage Orcs. Just with this big, I got to go for this big turnaround. And of course, that's happened to me too, right? All of a sudden, I might lose some big unit. And I start saying, well, okay, I can still win this if I go for this long charge. And if I try and if somehow I can flank this and this unit can beat here, then as long as that breaks, I'll be right back in the game. But really what this is just going for high risk behavior. And even though there's a chance it could go off, the majority of the time it won't work. And what's really going to happen is you throw a weak unit into a flank, it's not going to really come to anything, they're going to reform, destroy you. You might go for a long charge, which now just failed. This meant maybe you took an extra round of free shooting and have almost no distance made up, or maybe that failed charge showed off a flank. It was just really risky behavior that you took on because of that whole loss aversion and you trying to get back into the game. So what you really need to do is, if you're ever in a game and you have a big loss, let's say that your level 4 just miscast and died, or one of your units just failed a panic from a first turn shooting and ran off the board. The last thing you want to do is panic and go to your emotional state. What you really need to do is step back, take yourself out of this situation, take a look at it, and really just try and stay the course. I mean, obviously your battle game is going to change. I mean, now either you don't have a magic phase or you don't have a unit over on that flank, but you got to really just come back and keep at it. And just trying to go for the sure thing. And even if looking at it from a tournament standpoint, even if you don't come back and are able to beat them, well, by going for this less risky behavior, it could probably mean that you're going to lose, say, by a minor loss as opposed to a massacre loss. And for some of us that go into tournaments, it's also kind of the feeling that, man, if I want to get first place, I need to have massacre win, massacre win, massacre win, and really the whole idea of risk is worth it because you have this whole feeling that if I can just, it doesn't matter if I lose, as long as I can get this massacre win, I need to have that anyway in order to win the tournament. When in fact, what usually happens is that unless you're playing in a fairly large tournament where that's just the way it works out, that the person that wins up at the top is massacre, 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 Well, what usually happens, like just people like myself, is you get at the end of the tournament and you might end up with, let's say, 2 massacre wins, a minor win, and then a massacre loss. And that one massacre loss brings you so far down that instead of ending up second or third, all of a sudden you're 8th or 10th. And it makes a huge deal. I mean, you could have a placing trophy type thing, but now because you went for that really risky maneuver that just had like a small chance of pulling it off, now you've really taken yourself completely down the list. So just something to think about. Next time it happens to you, step back, go back to your rational brain, come back into the game, and then keep on going from there. So anyway, hope that helps, and I'll have another one pretty quick here. Thanks, bye.